So this question today, we're looking at something which would be towards the end of your GCSE paper, and this question would be worth 5 marks in your exam. So it's quite a lot of marks and quite a lot of work that you're going to have to put into it. So the question says, find the area of this triangle, which is given here, is 100 square metres, and it's asking you to find the length of the side AB. So important to note that the area of the triangle is 100 and what side it is we've got to find. Now, the only angle we've been given in the triangle is that one there of 40 degrees, so it's not a right angle triangle. So if it's not a right angle triangle, that means we cannot use Pythagoras' theorem and we cannot use SOHCAHTOA. So the only thing left to us is sine and cosine rule, and obviously where they've told us the area, we can actually use the formula for the area of the triangle. But there are 2 formulae for the area of the triangle. One is a half times base times height. We don't have enough information for that because for that formula you have to have a base with a perpendicular height. And as you can see, we have no right angle symbols on here, so we can't use that one. So the only formula we can use is this one, which is the area is equal to a half AB sine C. Now you need to know that formula, it's not given to you, so you need to make sure you know that one. So the first thing we should do really is label the sides of the triangle. They have labelled for us the vertices, which would represent the angles in any formula we're going to use. And the way you label the sides is by using the same letter. So this vertex here is labelled capital A. The side opposite, we're going to use the same letter A, but the lower case. Okay, and the same here, lowercase c, and the same with this one, we'd call that lowercase b. Now this one's worked out quite nicely for us because the formula is a half AB sine C. The way it is set up, it will always be 2 sides being used with the angle between them, because if you look here, for example, A and B are here and the angle between them is labelled C. Alright? If we were using these 2 sides, the formula would be a half AC sine B, and if we were using these 2 sides, it would be a half BC sine A. Now that's fine, we've got the area, we have the side B and we have C, so we can use all of this, okay. We don't have A, so that means that's something missing which we will be able to find. But as it says in the question, we want the side AB, which is this side here, so we actually want to find side C. But at least if we find this, we're on the route, or in the right direction, and we're using the information we've given. So if ever you don't know what to do, and they've given you some information, my advice would be use that information first. So we're just going to fill in the formula first of all. So we get here 100 is equal to a half times, now we don't know A, so just write the letter, B is 8.4, and sine, you must remember the sine, don't forget it, C, which is 40 degrees, okay? Now, all you have to do now is basically rearrange this to work it out. So what I did to make it a little bit simpler was I've said, well, I'm doing a half times 8.4 so that looks a bit neater, which is 4.2. So then I've still got my A and I've still got the sine 40. Sine 40 is going to be a decimal somewhere between 0 and 1. I don't really want to write all of that out, so I just get the calculator to do the hard work for me. I want A. I could do 4.2 times sine 40, but why would I need to waste my energy doing that when, like I say, I can get the calculator to do it all for me? So I can go straight to A is equal to 100 divided by, and then just put the whole thing on the bottom, 4.2 sine 40, okay? I get my calculator to do that for me, and it tells me that A to 3 significant figures is 37.0 metres, okay? So that's my answer for that part of the question. Now, we want to find the length of the side AB. If I want to, I can now fill that in on my diagram to make it a little bit easier. So that is 37.0. Now, if I look at my triangle now, I've got two sides and the angle between them, and I want to find a third side. Now, I mentioned we can use the sine rule, the cosine rule, or this area formula. So we've used that one, so what's left is the sine rule or the cosine rule. Now the trick now is to know which one to use when. For the sine rule, where you've got a over sine a equals b over sine c equals c over sine, b over sine b equals c over sine c, as you should know, you're always looking for pairs, and it's always the case that you'd have two angles and two sides with one piece of that puzzle missing. For the cosine rule, you actually have three sides and one angle, and one of those things will be missing, so you can find it. So if we look in this case, we've got two sides and one angle, and we're being asked to find a third side. So therefore, there's our three sides and one angle, which means it must be the cosine rule. Now, just like the area formula, you need to know the formula for the cosine rule. So the cosine rule is a squared equals b squared plus c squared. So I always like to think it starts off a little bit like Pythagoras, and then it's minus 2bc cos a. Alright, now that's fine, but we actually want to find the side c, so you need to adjust it and move all of your letters around. So we want to find c, and we've got a and b, so the lowercase b's and c's will become a and b, and cos a, if you notice, the angle is always the same as the side that you're trying to find, so because we want c, that's going to become cos c, which fits with our formula. Now if you are asked to find a side with the cosine rule, it's always the case that you'll be given two sides and the angle between them to find the third side. Alright, so that's how it works. So this is our formula. Just like before, just with it, like with this formula, we just substitute everything in that we have. Now, a little trick for you: when you're using your calculator, you will have used your calculator to get this solution here. Now, what I would advise you do is leave that number as it is in full on your calculator display. Then, when you come to type in these numbers on your calculator, so if I just write out what everything is, so A is our 37.0 squared, plus B, which is 8.4 squared, minus 2 times 37.0 times 8.4 times cos 40. So when we come to type that into our calculator, because again, let your calculator do all the work for you, here what you can do on your calculator is, instead of typing 37.0, which is obviously a rounded number, if you've left that on your calculator display, you can type in answer, and obviously squared in that case, and the same here, instead of typing that in, type in answer. And then by doing that, you are being as accurate as you possibly can be. Alright? The question, I didn't write all of it up, but it asked you to round your answer to 3 significant figures, which is really important that you check that as well. So, you get that c squared is 965.89, and so on. Always good to put that down just in case there's an error anywhere, and then you'll get marks for your working. And then obviously to get from here to here, we just square root, and the final answer is 31.10, and then obviously if we're rounding to 3 significant figures, we cut that bit off, okay, and we look at that and it's not 5 or more, so we leave it as it is. So the answer is just 31.1 meters, okay? And as I say, by using the answer button here and here, having not cleared this off, you are being as accurate as possible, and you are making sure that you don't make an error here and you don't have any rounding errors.